We're live? All
Mhm.
right. We're live and direct. Live and direct.
That's it.
Done now. So let me get the tune up. And I'm host. Got it.
I don't think I make you post it. Oh,
Oh, this one.
yeah, the boss,
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Another episode of Things I Wish I Knew About Money. I'm your host, Camille Smith.
And I'm your co-host, your boy Dre. What's poppin'? What's poppin'?
My gosh, what a week it has been.
Oh yeah, what happened this week?
Um, so much happened. A lot of projects that I was able to finish. The finalization of my mom's estate was complete. So that's going to be an episode in coming weeks. I'll say weeks.
Mm,
And still, you know.
okay.
Um, also, it's like summer's almost over. Sorry,
Yo,
I didn't
like September is like next week.
like right. Like
Crazy.
this
And
is
I
the
feel like
last
we
weekend.
barely got any summer this year.
Barely, but I'm not gonna lie. The last couple days, nights, I should say, the
Yeah,
weather was really nice. So I was like, yo, let me just enjoy outside and try to do a little, 1, 2. And right now I'm trying to find ways
right.
of self-care,
Okay.
right? That's that I'm still learning. I'm still learning myself, you
And what
know?
have you come up with so far?
Oh, I
Greetings
like
here with Cam.
I like going for walks by
Okay.
myself. But I don't mind going with others. I just haven't had the chance to. Even though
Mm,
there's so many times we're like, we should just totally do it. Honestly, I think it's something like you just need to say, like, yo, I'm outside your house. You're coming
right.
outside for me to
Okay.
actually go, right? But you have to give me at least an hour notice. They're like, yo, I'm coming to your house right now. So we're going for a walk. And it has to be nice, Things
Yeah,
like
makes
that.
sense.
I like if you just say like, oh, maybe we can do it in a day or two. I'll be like, mm, yeah. And then like two twos, I'm like,
Yeah, so it has to be spontaneous
it does. It
for it to make
does.
sense. Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Right. It
I
has to
mean,
be,
I feel like
especially if
certain
I'm free.
things, yeah,
Yeah.
certain things are better when it's spontaneous.
Exactly. As long as
Yeah,
I'm not top down and not busy working, then it can happen.
makes sense.
And what about you? How was your week?
I mean, the usual. This week
Work.
we wrapped up a project at my workplace that was pretty exciting, and today we had a focus group
Oh, nice.
for Flip and Floss. So we had like probably about 8 or more people, and
Yeah.
they look at our newsletter, different versions, and they gave us some feedback in terms of like how we can improve it and make it appeal to the people that we're trying to target. So that was actually a really fun exercise because we kind of keep it make it act, full of vibes and thing.
True,
And I
true.
feel
When
like
is your
that
next one?
newsletter.
No, I do read the newsletter. When's your next focus group? Because I know you did message me, but I was trying to. I was like a chicken with the head cut off and everything.
We're gonna have a few because our approach now is to really get the feedback from the community before we do anything, or if we've done
Definitely.
anything, to get their feedback, right? So I think we're gonna have quite a few more in the near
Nice.
future. So just stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you tell me. Next one's I'll reach. I was literally running errands before we
Yeah.
started and stuff. Also, it's actually, this is a great segue into what we're going to be talking about. So, if you see Ting-a-ling-a-ling,
Mhm.
um, I just remembered it's back to school.
Yeah,
Holy
I know. And
shit.
you mentioned that because we were caught up in like talking about like
The
Airbnb
Airbnb, yeah. And then I was
and
like, shucks, we gotta talk about that, right?
yeah,
Because even though, funny story, big up to the Americans, y'all start really, really early. Like beginning of August is when
hmm
they start. But normally in, well, I can only say Ontario, but
right,
most likely Canada, schools usually start after Labor Day.
yeah,
Um, but even now, there's some schools that start in August as well, and that's shocking to me. But I
yeah,
think it's like different kind of daycares and stuff.
right,
So,
right.
shh.
But I imagine back to school is gonna look
Mhm.
completely different this
Mhm.
time around. With the pandemic and
True.
so I think there's just a whole lot more to consider,
Hmm.
like financially. Um, some people are anxious. And interestingly, that's a kind of the project that I worked on recently was around mindset
Mm.
during the pandemic. So it's really interesting to see like, oh, all of that's gonna play out.
And do you want to talk about it a little bit, or do you want to go into the?
I can't actually. So it's my workplace and that's confidential and stuff. But it was really interesting in terms of some of the findings and like
Yeah.
the different tensions and anxiety that people have about going back to work. It was just like really interesting, and
Oh.
I think
Mhm.
employers have a huge role to play in terms of like people going back into the office, and just the same with school, right? Like
Mhm.
I imagine it is not going to be the same for those kids and their mindset in going back to school, and whether or not the
Absolutely.
school board, that is something that the different school boards are factoring in. Is it that they're just going to come and say, yo, like all the kids come back into the class and whatnot? Because you're going to have
Right.
some kids who are probably okay with going back right away. You're going to have some
Mhm.
kids who are concerned about catching COVID, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have some kids who are more introverted, right? And what's that experience for them? What's that going to be like, right? So there's a whole like spectrum of
Absolutely.
different people going back, and it's like I wonder if this is something that the school boards are thinking about.
Hopefully. Well, I mean, I haven't heard anything in a minute because usually um, I have family members that are teachers and they usually talk
Mm,
about it. But as of late, I think they're still anxious about the pandemic. So they haven't really talked about like the preparations that the
right,
schools are doing. I mean, at the beginning with when everything was happening, the preparations were so
right.
because it was a learning curve for everyone, right? I don't even know if most people are actually going to be virtual or actually going back.
Yeah,
But I'm guessing because of, the demand of the vaccine
right, right,
being mandated, they probably will and just have um, special procedures or
right.
cautions when it comes. So I'm hoping things, work out for the best for everyone, right? Because it affects everyone,
No,
like the
100%.
teachers, principals, the parents, kids, and all that. So, man, even daycare,
Yeah, I
daycare.
mean, exactly. And you're gonna have those parents who require daycare, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of organizations are moving to a hybrid model.
Yes.
schools are moving to a hybrid. So there's some coordination that's needed there. When
Yeah.
I have to go into work as a parent, what if the child has to be home, right? Or they need
Mm,
to go to school, right? So there's going to
jeez.
be a lot of coordination, right, that needs to take place. And I
Yeah.
mean, I imagine it's going to take time to adjust, right? It's no secret that COVID has changed how we do things, right? But
Mm-hmm.
how do we adapt to that new normal, whatever it is, right? So there's a lot of consideration there, right? And then there's a financial consideration, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Around like, there's all these back to school expenses. I mean, there are people who lost their jobs or people who got laid off and they probably
Mm-hmm.
just getting recalled, right? And so,
And it must be hard. I know how hard it is.
yeah,
Just losing an income and stuff and just trying to figure out how to work towards or adjusting your budget and stuff. I
mm,
mean, I can think of back in the day, like middle school,
yeah,
or okay, so here's a joke. Obviously, anyone that was like an 80s baby or early 90s, y'all know that the way clothes were,
right,
especially in Toronto, it was like your parents could kind of get away with going to like low end places to get you stuff because we
right,
didn't care. Like, yo, I don't care. I had some dope ass outfits, but anyone that would want to wear them now, the kids these days would be like, what? Or even I'm thinking just the deals. Like, I'm not saying I did it from Byway, but there was
right.
Byway, there was Walmart, there's Seafood Play that people used to go to.
To get
I
in,
think
yeah,
they're in Brampton too. Those are the places you go to get your deals. Or, but this year we couldn't. You go to the states
yeah,
and and get those deals. Like we used to go to Pennsylvania
mm,
just to get some deals.
right.
Oh man, it was legit. Like I can't lie, it was good. But in high school, sorry, my dog. In high school, I had a uniform.
Right.
So you were able to cut costs with that too. So to the parents or the young adults that have to pay for their way, um, I don't know. Going to a uniform school is kind of cheaper because you can
It's
do
cheap.
some
Yeah.
loopholes
You
with
can.
some of the
I mean,
outfits.
even if you have one uniform, if you have one uniform, nobody not gonna know so easily.
Right? All you have to do is have, so what? We had to have at least gray pants, dark
Mm,
gray pants, and he had to at least show the logo of the school. You know how many times I wore that vest and wore like a white t-shirt or whatever, and they didn't care? But I think even, but the to the folks that don't go to uniform school, um, try to get those deals.
yeah. And so you mentioned a couple places that
Mm-hmm.
have the deals, and I mean, perhaps I mean with internet, I'm assuming you can probably still access those stores online, right?
Yeah.
There might be a way to like connect with those stores in Pennsylvania or
Ooh.
New Jersey, because I know New Jersey,
Yeah.
people tend to drive there for deals as well. When the
Mm,
border was open, Canadians
yeah.
would go across.
And
So it might be an opportunity to shop online as well, in terms of buying back to school. I know for me,
mhm,
I never had a back to school experience here in high school. So, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know too much about back to school here, but I know in Jamaica, when a back to school time,
Mhm,
your father, or your mother, or whoever, you get a piece of paper,
yeah.
you draw your foot on it, right? And you give that to your father or your mother or whoever, and them going to the market and them search for it, right?
Oh.
And like, I mean, I honestly speaking, I'd
Yeah.
probably say it's 50-50
Mhm.
when you get the right size, because a lot of time the shoes come back tight.
Oh man.
And
I shucks. Shucks.
it was a rough thing because yo, when you get the shoes there, and
Mm.
shoes come back tight, them your father or your
You
mother
know
get
you're not gonna get it back. You
you're not
know you're
getting
not
back because
gonna.
one, them already selling the shoes, and chances are
Hmm.
them now go exchange it, can you buy it in the market,
Exactly.
right? And even if you want it exchange, chances are
Mm.
um the person gonna say, yo, like, like them could have sell it already, and there's always gonna be this
Hmm.
pushback. And then your father or whatever might have gotten a discount on it, and the discount probably not available again. So I'm gonna say, you know what? Just take the shoes and go and take out the insole
Yeah.
and see if you can get an inch on it.
You know what would have been the best idea for that? Um, bring a shoe.
Which
Unless
one?
you are growing like crazy, then that's
Yeah.
the only time it sucks. Bring a shoe
Yeah.
or what's another thing? Hmm.
But my thing is, why they never just ask you for the size of your shoes?
That
What
too, that
or
too.
the
Like
size of
what
your foot?
shoe
Okay.
size do you
What shoe
wear?
size? 9. Me not get this whole thing of drawing your foot. You draw your foot on paper and bring it
You know
up.
what? They want to be creative in everything, you know?
I tell you.
They want to be creative. Hold on a second. Max wants to play games. he
Big
always
up
like
Max in the house.
he always wants to be up in a but what's another deal?
Um, I mean, Walmart
Yes.
typically have a whole heap of deals. If you're
Mm,
trying to buy a computer, Best Buy and them place, like now is a good time to buy electronics, right?
yes.
Those are major retailers because they tend to give you a whole heap of good deals. So you want to shop around, you want to compare, right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
just go with the first
Do
price
not.
that pops up. Yeah.
Exactly. The first things first. Compare, compare,
Yeah.
compare.
Because
Because
now
you
is where you get the discount, and these said electronics closer to the Christmas season, the prices are gonna go up. So if you're
mm-hmm.
even thinking ahead, if you want to buy a Christmas gift from now is a better time to buy those
Exactly.
electronics.
Exactly. Like, and you know what? I'm not even gonna front. Dollarama. You get the pencils and everything there.
Yeah.
Walmart. Um, Staple. No, Staples is a little on the pricey side. There are so many places that you can go to get a good deal. And what's other things? Finances, budget, budget, budget.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean that's even more critical for. I mean, it's critical for parents to budget, for kids in high school, but even thinking about teenagers going over to college.
Mm,
Right?
mm,
I remember my college experience. I never had anything called a budget. Right? I literally just go with the flow. Like I
yep.
go to school. And there were days when I had money, and there were days that I don't have money. But in terms of
Mm,
like what to expect,
yeah.
right? If somebody listening to this, and I'm going to college for the first time. Like,
Hmm.
what are some of the expenses? Like, should I be looking out for as a first year or somebody new to college?
Say it one more time. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like if I'm in first year, if I'm going to college for the first time, like what are some of the expenses that I should be looking out for?
Oh, yeah. Oof, good question. Good question. So, first things first. When you go to orientation,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to try to get you. They're going to try to get you. They're going to try the credit cards and the line of credits and all that good stuff. And just those expenses that
Yeah,
you didn't take into consideration before. Watch out because they actually prey on like, you're 17, 18, just coming out of high
yep.
school. You now feel like, oh, I'm a grown, I'm grown. I can do whatever I want. That's when they try to get the credit card. You only have a summer job.
Mhm.
So like the first thing is before you get to post secondary, get a summer job before, so you can
Yeah.
save up a little. I had a summer job like before, and that was able to help because OSAP or student loans didn't activate right away. But what expenses? Transportation, housing.
Mm,
So, are you gonna live at home with your
yeah.
folks, or are you gonna
That's what.
be
Yeah.
living on residence, or are you gonna be living outside, off campus?
Oh, I think when I say outside, I mean Bunny Road.
No, no. Are you gonna live off campus? Me, I lived at home. If I had gone away, like what I was supposed to go to University of Windsor, that was one of my options. I think I would have lived off campus just to
Right.
get that because I don't want to pay that much. I just wanted to get that feeling of being, away from home.
Right. Right.
Um, I didn't get that experience, but I'm okay. But I always commuted there and back. Um, it's a different feeling. Like, what about you? Were you obviously you lived off campus when you went to university here?
Yeah.
How was that?
Well, I mean, I have various experience because when I was at UE back in
Mm,
Jamaica,
yes, yes,
I
yes.
lived on campus.
Okay.
For first year, I lived on campus. For me, I'm usually creative, so like for me, I could cook. I was
Yeah.
on hall
Ooh.
and I could cook. So,
Yeah.
well, not could, I can still cook. Uh, and I would cook for all the guys. There were probably like four other guys on the flat.
Yeah.
And they usually bring their grocery. They couldn't cook, so I used to cook. And so a lot
That's
of
a
times
hustle right there.
I
You
have
could have
my
sold them.
exactly, I have my food. So a lot of times I'm not buying anything.
Nice.
I think I generally saved a lot on campus when I was on campus because I was well the biggest expenses were just the tuition and the hall fee, but in between that, I
Yeah.
never had a lot of expenses because I usually um, cook my own food. I mean, even if
Nice.
I wanted to, I
Yeah.
couldn't afford it, so I wouldn't be able to like be eating out every day. So um,
Let me tell you this to everyone that's listening, especially the college and university students.
yeah,
Listen, the broke student as a high schooler and the broke student as a college or university student is totally different.
mhm,
I used to, anyone that went to my high school knew what I was getting every day. It was a can of Pepsi or a can of Sprite
yeah,
and a popcorn.
right,
And I would be okay with that. Not saying I couldn't afford anything else. I was just a cheap mofo.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Is just that I was just a cheap mofo. And I was able to handle that. When it came to university and going to school at Ryerson, there was no such thing as like affordable, especially downtown. And it was sad. It was sad. Then I started doing like French vanilla and donuts just to survive. But then I
wow,
also um I was just a stingy person. I was very stingy.
hmm,
And I wasn't well, like I was good with budgeting in a
right,
sense or
right.
saving, but I didn't know how to make that money last and stuff, right?
But I mean, I think that's like the case for a lot of university kids, unless you're born in
Mm-hmm.
the riches.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the same for me, and I see the same thing with a lot of students. It's like, yo, you're eating a lot of junk food, right? I remember here
Yeah.
when I was at York,
Yeah.
a majority of the times I was eating pizza,
Mm-hmm.
right? Pizza and I mean, I love my coffee, so chances are pizza and coffee. You buy a slice of pepperoni,
Yeah.
and that will till the end of the class. So it's like you're eating unhealthy
Mm-hmm.
because you want something fast, but also too like you don't have the money,
Yeah.
right? Because there are all these other expenses. So I think that's even something that you have to take into consideration going to college, right? So
Mhm.
you have to balance your finances with your health. Um,
Exactly.
I mean, it's pretty challenging. I know it was challenging for me, like navigating that space. But I mean, some of the things that I did, like toward as I got more into the rhythm and things, is like, yo, I started cooking. I never used
Mm-hmm.
to bring the food, but I was doing evening classes. So my classes were mostly 7 to 10 p.m. So I used to work full time in the day and I
Yeah.
go to school full time at night. So I had
Yeah.
like a full caseload, like 4 or so courses with a full time job. And I would go home.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably reach home like
Like
maybe
10.
by 5 o'clock.
Oh, before it's
Yeah,
class. Yeah.
yeah, by 5 o'clock. And I used to live near to York, so I got home by like 5. I'd
Mm.
quickly, like, I'd probably prepare something from the day before. I'll warm it up. I'll eat my
Mm.
food, and then I'm gone to class. Like my life was literally boom, work, home, school. But in between, I try to prepare stuff because I mean, like I said, I couldn't afford it again because I was new here
Mm.
and I never had the money. And I know there are a lot of international students here as well. But the
Yeah.
other thing that you can do is to pool resources too as students. You know, that can be if you live on campus, like coming together and buying in bulk,
Yep.
cooking in bulk. You know, if you have to
Absolutely.
transport, drive, commute to school, you could
Mm-hmm.
carpool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So those are
There's a
some
lot
things
of
that,
things.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm glad you mentioned that, like, the carpooling and the car eating.
yeah, yeah.
There's also food banks. So if you actually start, like, to anyone that's new or anyone that's a seasoned
Yeah,
student, you should really try to come together with your associations and even the student center. Those are the
right.
best places because you can get deals. Whew,
Yep, yep. That's
there
true.
was so many deals. Um, there's student discounts too, like transportation, all that good stuff. So
Hmm.
the first thing you gotta do is go to your student center to see all the great deals
Yeah,
that they have, and utilize on as much as you can, right?
yeah. That's a good point because I found out toward the end that even on the TTC bus pass, like I think you get like a 20% or 30%
Yeah,
discount.
you
And
didn't
I'm
know
like, holy, I didn't know that. I
that?
could have saved so much money. So yeah, that's definitely something to do, like to check with the student association to see what's available. The
Yes.
other thing too, like, I'm not tell a lie, when I was in university, I like
Mm.
new textbook, but I don't know, I think newer textbook bring this studious feeling. So I'm always like that one to go buy my new textbook until I got to like fourth year or third or fourth year. And then I realized like, holy crap, I was wasting my money because them university, every year is a new textbook.
Every year.
So if you take this particular course this year, next year is a new version of the textbook. But then when you actually go through the textbook, it's like one and two changes. They might switch around a couple of questions. So it's
Listen.
like, and then I was caught up in like getting the new textbook. I'm gonna be honest, don't be afraid to buy used. Um, I a lot of time, and I feel like this is just unfair too for the students when a professor come and tell us, say, yo, you must have the new
Mm-hmm.
version of the book when there's like
Mm-hmm.
a slight change in the book.
Yep. Let me
And
tell you
recognizing
this.
that students, a lot of times, they must have a part-time job. They might have this
Exactly.
massive student loan to pay for university, and about all of these other expenses. Are you gonna tell me that you flip around two questions in that book and you're gonna tell me, so I must buy the book?
Which
No,
is
man.
$200, $300. Let me tell you
Exactly. Them book don't cheap. So don't be
so
afraid to use.
so I'm not saying, okay, because obviously the professor is an author or has his royalties coming with these income or these books. However, for the students that are struggling, one, go to the library and try to find the used textbook. Two, try to meet people that used to go to that and have the old textbook. Go on the whether it's Facebook or the formals on your school's website.
Hmm.
Try to find the used textbooks.
Right.
Listen, there's no reason why you have to pay $200, $300 for these dang textbooks. I was gonna say another suggestion, but I'm not gonna say it because it's kind of not ethical. So I will leave that one. But
Right.
I've done things so I could get a friggin' textbook, but not bad, not that bad. But listen, I try to cut costs as much as possible, but sometimes
Yeah.
you can't cut costs. There's certain things you can't cut costs because if the it's just like a new course. Like if you have a new
Right.
course, you're gonna have to get it, right? But if it's a different text, man, I pray for you.
Yeah, if
I
it's a
pray.
different text, it's hard, right? It's a whole different textbook. But also too, like in courses where, let's say there's no assignment coming from the textbook. I think in courses where, because even though the textbook may change, the
Yeah,
syllabus might still be the same. So there might not be any assignment from the textbook, but the topics covered are still the same. I'm telling you from my experience that you
mm,
can use an older version of the textbook and still learn how to do those cover those
exactly.
topics in the book. So even though the book might have changed, if the syllabus is the same, so perhaps you want to look at the syllabus and compare it to previous years to see if
Yes.
anything has changed. Because if nothing has changed, and you're in a 20, let's say it's 2021 now, you probably can buy even a 2019 book, to be honest, because
That's
it
true.
a lot doesn't change from the book, right?
And the folks that have had the book or had the course, try to sell your textbooks as well to make money, so
Yeah,
you can get your other textbooks for the
100%.
new year.
And
Because yeah, unless you don't try to repeat the course,
yeah,
basically.
and the other thing I want to touch on, because I know there's a lot of people offering like assignment help and tutorial help. I'm not saying don't go with these people. If you need a one-on-one
Yeah,
tutoring, feel free to utilize that. But I know too, I don't remember what the program is called, but York, for example, they have programs where you can get additional tutoring outside of the classroom to like cover certain courses, like the harder courses. Like I know, for example, when I was taking finance,
yeah,
right, they had an extra lesson kind of thing for that course, as well as some other heavily quantitative courses. So look for
hmm,
those courses that have additional tutoring session and go to them. They're free, right? And see if that helps before you pay for tutoring and
yes.
stuff like that.
And let's see. Let's try to give a quick tip. Here's two quick tips or three quick tips for parents and students, older
Mhm.
students, um, to start that day of going back to school. Go to bed early. I
Mhm.
know we love to stay up late till 1 a.m. or so, but go to sleep early so you can
Yeah.
wake up early and then have a routine. Also with a routine, try to have a proper routine for your schooling or you're just gonna get mashed up.
Yep. I
And
totally.
also encourage independence, right? Children who play an active role in preparing for back to school, like choosing their outfit and their supplies, they just feel more excited about back to school. I remember I was able to, I was able to, I remember it was grade 7. I was so nervous. It was my first day. I was
Mhm.
so excited to wear this tracksuit, right? It was
Right.
matching and everything. I think it was like Adidas or Nike, whatever. It's on sale. I was like, ah, ah, ah. I got so sick that day and threw up all over it. And I was like,
Holy.
I was so embarrassed. It was like right after lunch, and I just like wanted to run home and cry. But don't throw up on your stuff, folks. and
Definitely don't want to do that.
and I feel like this needs like a two-part because there's so much things that you could do with back to school, and you still have an extra week, so I feel like we can do another one next week. We just want to
Mhm.
hear some tips, like what do people think, in the chat or anything. What do you think is the best way to prepare for back to school, like, or are you prepared for back to
Yeah.
school, or have you adjust how you are how your living expenses is going to be too, because if you're still back in at home, ooh,
Mhm.
that internet, you better make sure
Yeah.
that internet's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. And like I think what I would say is like try to develop like good habits from the start. I think a lot of there's a lot of new things that you have to navigate
Mm-hmm.
in university. I know for me, like my first year, I was surprised by my first year because I didn't go to a school where people talk about university, and so university was just like a new thing for me.
Yeah.
But one thing that worked for me is that I was pretty organized in my first year. So I went and I created, and this was because a friend gave me advice
Yeah.
about university, and I went and I prepared a calendar. I wrote down all my courses and the day that I have my course, and then I said, okay, these are the times that I'm going to study. These are the
Yep.
times that I'm going to do my assignments, and I plan, for, and it will change,
Yeah.
but I would say try to be as organized as possible.
Yes. That
The other
new
thing,
planner, that
yeah,
planner that they give, the school planner.
yeah.
I did use
And I
that.
mean, they have a virtual versions too, right? So if you
Yes.
prefer to write it down, write it down. If you want to do like a virtual version, feel
Yeah.
free.
That's a good
Um,
idea.
the other thing that I would say that in terms of tips that like work for me is like,
Hmm.
well, and this is probably more for people who are extroverted, but I try to seek out information and try to connect with people and
Yes.
try to get, you know, I love to do it the easy way. I don't like to work hard. If I A lot of times my friends and whatever, one of my friends told me one time like, how is it that you're able to study
Yeah.
for a test like 2 days before or three or a day before and still do really well? That is
Mm.
because I don't like to work hard. I like the easy way out. And
Eh,
so for me, I remember when I was in Jamaica, this teacher
yeah.
told me majority of the time what we're studying is going to be most of the information is going to be fluff. So you get this big body or this chapter to read, probably
Yeah.
60% of the chapter is fluff, meaning they will never test you on that. So
So
you have to be
true.
able to sift through the information and pick out what you think they're not going to test you on. And you have to pick up on clues from the professor and whatnot. But my next tip would be to work smart, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're gonna there, of course, you cannot avoid working hard, but the smarter you work, I think the
Yeah.
better it is. And the last tip I want to give is around tax. Tax. Think tax as
True.
a student. So
True.
you have things that you can claim.
Yes.
So you can claim
Yes.
your tuition credit. So whatever you pay for tuition, you can claim that. A lot
If
of people get off. Mhm.
if the parent doesn't claim it. So remember,
Well, if
don't double dip.
depending on the age, yeah. If you're an adult, if you're a minor, if you're 16 or 17, then yeah, your parents. But if it is, I think you can choose
Yes, you
who you
can.
want to claim it. So if you want to give it to your parents, you can give it to your parents. So I think think of who it makes more sense for to claim
Mm.
the credit.
And,
And then the
and
other
don't bully
thing is
your kids. Don't bully your kids to take it, huh?
right?
I've seen
Exactly.
it. I've seen it.
I mean I had one such I've only seen it once, but yeah,
Yeah.
it does happen. And the interest on the student loan, right? So that's tax deductible as well. It's something that
Yes.
I'd probably say 8 times out of 10 people don't know that
Forget.
they can claim it. So think tax as well. So speak to your tax preparer to see what you can and cannot claim, right?
Always log into those sites, guys. Because I know we
Yeah,
don't remember the password. You know, many times people are like, I don't remember the password. I'm like, oh, okay. But
I
yeah,
know.
these are some great tips. And we are gonna cut it short today because it's almost summer, summer's almost done. We want to get as much of vitamin D, aka the sun, guys.
Right?
So enjoy the sun and everything. But I think we're definitely gonna touch on it again because it I mean it's not school hasn't come yet, and I think there's a lot of things that we can talk about, right?
Definitely. Yeah, no, I
So
completely agree.
so fellas, wow, so sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, please like, subscribe, and follow. And remember, we have a deal. I think I mentioned it on the last one.
Yeah.
For you to get a discount on Andre's Airbnb. You have to subscribe to their YouTube or Instagram. You have to
Mm-hmm.
DM us. You have to mention some things that Andre and I say, and share it with share it with people, and then you have to show us a screenshot
Yep.
that's proof, right?
Yep. And you get a big discount on the Airbnb.
Do you have anything else to say, sir?
Yeah, no, I think like I love the discussion. I just like you said, I like the tips. So people like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm often like, every time I connect with somebody and I share the podcast with them and they're like, oh my God, like the content is so good, right? That they're like, yo, these are things that I can implement right away in my routine. So
Right?
keep sharing.
Exactly. The more people know, the more knowledge comes into the community. And I forgot to make an announcement. This Thursday, anyone that is a Centennial student, look out for a financial literacy webinar for Centennial College students. That was a
All
little
right.
announcement, you know. I didn't want to be like boosting it, but I just want as many college students at Centennial to hear it or reach out to anyone, and I'll be able to send a link or something. I'm trying to find out the promotion, but once I get the promotion, y'all will see it and things. All right.
All right. Sounds good. I'll be looking out. I'll be joining as well. So make sure you send me the link.
Done now, done now. On that note, oh my gosh, I had the song, I had it. There it is. But because I had to support Andre's tune because the songs are big. So
Big
like,
one.
subscribe. Until next time, folks. Oh my gosh, maybe I'll Flax money literacy box. Flax money literacy box. Flax money literacy box. Flax. Anyway, you jump.
You can flash.
Fitness in our blood because we're working on the class. Flax money literacy box. Yeah, I'm talking about it. No, flax money literacy box. Fitness in our blood because we're working on the class. Flax money literacy box. Yeah, I'm talking about it. If you do mistake, if you can't teach about money,